Welcome. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard at gophnx.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You're a part of our family. Speaking of family, he's my guy, Bo Brack, live from the PHNX headquarters in downtown Phoenix. I'm Johnny Venerable. Doing well after a nice little doubleheader on Monday Night Football, Bo.
That was actually pretty electric doubleheader last night. I thought that ESPN did. I was a little skeptical going in. I'm like, why the hell are they doing a double dip on Monday night in week 14? Who gives a crap? But they took two crap box games. And you had a couple upsets that you got to witness. Yeah. And Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito going against, I don't know what the Green Bay Packers tried to deploy out there defensively, but he just sliced them up. Like some chicken parm, like it was beautiful. And then on the other side of things, you see DeAndre Hopkins. My God, I was talking to our guy Greg Dortch about it today. D-Hop looking like the D-Hop of old.
I don't want to get off track here off the top of the show. I think you and I have always felt, because his game is not reliant on speed, like he's going to age well in the NFL. Like he's going to produce. I think I saw before the show, he's like 120 yards away from another 1,000-yard receiving season. That's with Tannehill and Will Levis. So, outside of injury, he's still a really good player. Not elite anymore, and he'd certainly be the Cardinals' #1 receiver here in late December. We're not going to talk about that, though, so congratulations.
Can we talk about it just for a second?
Okay, go ahead.
What are your thoughts on it? I mean, after seeing that, DeAndre Hopkins has proven that he has some left in the tank.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, there wasn't a question, I think, as far as the Cardinals leadership goes. I think that they wanted to mostly get that gigantic financial figure off their books beyond this season. And that was their main motivation as far as cutting ties with D-Hop. And him, not exactly wanting to do anything as far as his contract goes beyond trying to make more money. What in hindsight, how do we view the decision to outright just cut DeAndre Hopkins? But also, and our well-versed audience knows that there was no market for DeAndre Hopkins. It was either cut him or move forward.
No,
right.
There wasn't, which was disappointing because we had Jordan Schultz on this program, Super Bowl week combine, telling us like they're going to try to trade him, and we're just assuming somebody's going to give up something of value. Didn't happen. I think it's easy to sit here that we've been through the rigors of the season and saying like probably the difference between 1 to 2 games max. Where's that putting the Cardinals? Because they're right now, we're going to talk about it, in a prime position to get a certain wide receiver out of Columbus should they lose out, even if they win another game. Like you win 6 games and D-Hop's a part of your team, like maybe that's good for the culture. Yeah, absolutely. But like I think Michael Wilson probably loses some snaps to DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason. You probably can't expedite his development, although he's hurt right now. Hollywood Brown's situation certainly makes it murkier. And DeAndre Hopkins would have been productive for you, Kyler Murray or not. Like he would have been productive with Joshua Dobbs, and I think he'd be cooking with gas with K1 right now. So we root for victories. We root for good performances by the Cardinals, and he would have aided that. But in the grand scheme of things, money's off the books. You're in a prime position maybe to get the next great wide receiver that's not DeAndre Hopkins and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I'm not going to say it worked out for everybody. Like, D-Hop took less money, and the Cardinals didn't get a draft pick. I think they were both better off. But you and I were celebrating on this show when it looked like post-draft, like, oh, they might keep him for the year. That's going to be fun. It's good for us. It's good for the Valley. My son's in the DeAndre Hopkins Flag Football League here in Chandler. Like, he's a big part of what they've done. So that was a difficult partying, and it's great to see him ball out. I still love D-Hop, one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I mean, you can still see that he's making big-time plays and utilizing those enormous hands of his and showing off his elite route running ability. But I like a lot of these comments on Shot First. What's up? D Hop just followed the money signing with the Titans. No doubt about it. I mean, his like little tour there when he was, I think, still rostered by the Arizona Cardinals. Like in hindsight, it's like, who are your top 5 quarterbacks? I'll tell you who wasn't on that list. A rookie, Will Levis, and of course, Mr. Washing Machine, Ryan Tannehill. Or any of those Titans quarterbacks for that matter. He took the biggest payday he could possibly get. I like this from Brian too. Johnny DeVito leading the show. Are you tapping in to
forget about it? Hey, I'm walking here, Brian. Hey, where's the freaking gabagool? My Italian roots are in full force today. I've been injected by Tommy DeVito. His essence. Right. He played college football, 45 minutes from my hometown of Bloomington, Illinois last year. And I feel like he and I kind of are kindred spirits. So great to see him do well because, again, the on the field performance, I think, is being masked by the greatness that is his cast of characters off the field. I think it's one of the best stories in the NFL. Of course, his agent, which we teased on yesterday's show, his family dishing out sweet cutlets before the game. I mean, it's great. It's what makes the NFL great. So yeah, between that and D-Hop last night, we were eating good, not just with the cutlets and the meatballs and the scatty and everything.
That's right. Johnny Cutlets, Big Bird 92, no doubt about it. How about this $9.99 super chat from Trenton Smith as we talk about the wide receiver position? Love it. Feel like MHJ is this year's blue chip Will Anderson. I think the Cards trade down and get a haul of picks like last year in the draft. We all want MHJ. Just another solid O-line plus more picks is what we need. I thought I was going to agree with Trenton Smith, but I do disagree with this. Like, if you're in a prime position to select Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that you absolutely do it. You pull the trigger, you run to the podium. You don't even really field any calls outside of, hey, overwhelm me with an unbelievable haul of picks, like a Herschel Walker type deal that the Cowboys pulled off for the Vikings, 3 decades ago.
I don't think anyone is trading up for a receiver, even a generational one. I think the only way that the Cardinals entertain something like that is if they have a top 2 pick and they don't want Caleb or Drake May. Here's what I will say, because I don't want to poo-poo everything that Trenton is saying. There's a lot of truth to that statement in the sense that the Cardinals, I've been told, like, they feel like they still need everything because of course they do. Look at the roster. I don't think this season, some people think they overachieve. I think defensively they certainly have, but that doesn't discredit the fact that they basically could not turn their nose at any position outside of quarterback. That's my feeling. I think the Cardinals feel that way too. So the difference being the Cardinals took their medicine last year and they traded down with Will Anderson Jr. on the board. And history is going to tell us if that's a good decision or not. They don't necessarily need to do that again this year. They've got a mid-round, first-round pick. They've got 3 threes. They could add more with a trade back in the draft. They're going to get more in terms of comp picks. So, and not to say, like, if they miss out on Marvin, they could definitely trade down. I think that's very much going to be an option. So I do believe, like, this team is going to weigh everything, but you put the tape on. Will Anderson Jr. is a significantly better player Marvin Harrison Jr. is a significantly better prospect than Will Anderson Jr. was. He would have been the number 1 non-quarterback last year. The Cardinals may very well have taken him at 3rd overall last year. Just everybody that was critiquing Will said that he had hit a ceiling. Now, clearly that's not true, but there's no ceiling with Marvin Harrison Jr. that people speak of.
Right. No, I mean, I think that it's fair to throw around generational. I mean, I think that he's the best wide receiver to hit the draft prospect wise since Calvin Johnson, who transcended his offense in college, which was run first at Georgia Tech. And the Arizona Cardinals, with 3 wide receivers that they have under contract beyond this season. I mean, it's a need. I
love this comment by Brian too. Atlanta once traded a lot for Julio Jones. They came up from the 20s. Browns made the mistake by doing that trade. Absolutely. They didn't make the most. Who the hell were those assets? Brandon Weeden, 30-year-old Brandon Weeden on a rookie deal. I just think he's more like, as far as slam dunk prospects go, like he's more in the mold of a Julio and these can't miss guys, Calvin Johnson, like I mentioned, than more so than like a Sammy Watkins. Like, when was the last time we talked about a guy being generational and he didn't live up to the hype? Is it Sammy Watkins?
Because what did he go? 4th? Buffalo traded a haul to
and
move
then
up.
Mike Evans, I think, went like a couple picks behind him, but
And he's gone 10 straight with 1,000 yards receiving.
Typically, it's like we say somebody's generational at receiver. Not only are they great, they like make the Hall of Fame. Like Julio's going to the Hall of Fame, Calvin's in the Hall of Fame. Like AJ Green, maybe Hall of Very Good. We'll see if he gets in. Mike Evans is going to the Hall of Fame. I think there are top receivers in classes like Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs who people liked.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't talked about like this. Jamar Chase is generational and is on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I think we both agree on that. So the hit rate too is really high when we put a label like this on a receiver. That's not the case for certainly quarterback or tackle or edge rusher. I mean, like Chase Young is a nice player. He's not the first overall pick if they redo that draft. He's just not. He's not productive or healthy enough. So I think you should feel pretty good about, oh yeah, it's a receiver, but usually like 9 times out of 10, it's going to work out.
Yeah, I just think that if you were to trade down and collect more assets, like to your point, are you going to find enough of an impact on your whole roster and the players that you would receive that you're going to get on a down-to-down basis from a Marvin Harrison Jr. and what he would bring to this passing attack? Because I think he immediately becomes wide receiver 1 and gives you a threat that is going to instill fear in NFC West defensive coordinators and whoever's on the Cardinals schedule next season, as early as next season.
You and I were texting off air about Hollywood Brown's future with this team and texting a mutual friend of the program and a source close to the team, basically, well, what's happened with Hollywood Brown? And like, I do think that Hollywood Brown's predictability or availability, I should say, for next year is going to be predicated on if Marvin is available for the Cardinals. Like, as crazy as that sounds, like I think that's your plan A, and then your plan B might be to pivot and do a cheap deal with Hollywood and then draft the receiver. I mean, let me
throw a couple names out there real quick, because we didn't mean to hijack this and make this wide receiver talk right out of gates, because we have some comments from Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing that in regards to Kyler Murray and his future with the franchise. But digging, and I'm going to do a closer breakdown of the wide receiver room and its future. But I mean, Hollywood Brown, or would you look at somebody like Gabe Davis, or would you look at somebody like Noah Brown, or Tyler Boyd? All those guys, better height, and I think fit what Drew Petzing wants to do offensively, and like that's what Hollywood Brown has kind of played himself into, is probably contracts like Gabe Davis and Noah Brown are going to receive this offseason, more so than the likes of Michael Pittman and T. Higgins and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. You guys are crushing it in the chat, Steven saying Jonathan Cooper was generational. He was. And then he was also a huge mega bust at guard.
Poor guy broke his leg. It was a bad break. It was tough. He was the best lineman they had in 2013 as a rookie before he got hurt. Blaine speaking truth to the chat, like if Terry McLaurin, the Washington Commanders end up with that 3rd pick and they can't get a quarterback, like does Terry become available? To me, I'm with you. I would go with the bigger receiver. Like Hollywood's gutting it out right now, commendable, but the Cardinals are trying to play meaningful games in 2024. You give Hollywood a little bit of scratch, man. Like, is he going to want to play through injury? Like, I also don't think like this offense, lean into what you want to do. Don't give yourself contingents or stipulations. Like, we really want to run the Shanahan offense with big physical receivers like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. That's our prototype. But just because this personnel was here, let's double down on it again in 2024. No, you have an out clause. You didn't trade for Hollywood Brown. He doesn't fit. He's not healthy, and he's not productive. Right.
Go a different direction. Give yourself some wiggle room here.
Yeah, I just don't think, moving around, and we've seen suggestions of playing him in the slot primarily, and it's like we don't know too much as far as what that would look like. But what we do know is, I mean, this is not a sample size. As you've pointed out, I mean, got 1,000-yard receiving season in 5 years as a first-round pick out of Oklahoma.
Christian Kirk's a better wide receiver.
He is.
Infinitely.
He is. And, I don't know if we would have been saying that, the night of the 2022 draft, first round when they dealt their 23rd overall pick for Hollywood Brown, a third round pick. But I just think like even bringing him back on like the ideal deal, I don't think makes sense right now. I just don't know
Except
where
Brack.
he comes and makes an impact. I just don't know where he comes in and really kind of puts up consistent numbers.
He's not going to play special teams,
Right.
unlike Greg Dortch and Rondell Moore are playing special. They will play special teams. They will return punts and kicks, and they can do some things out of the backfield. Hollywood's never played the slot at the NFL level, so he'd have to play outside receiver. And him playing outside receiver in the NFL has yielded 1,000-yard season. I like this comment from Ken because I agree with this to some extent. Like, we need Harrison for sure. That can be true. I'm also hoping we win too much to get him. Like, I want to see the Cardinals win games. Now, I think the schedule's tough, and we're being realistic here. And most pundits still have the Cardinals picking in the top 3. But like Kyler Murray cooking with gas at the end of the year, I get it. We're infatuated with Marvin. We want Marvin. But as Cardinal Charles 71's putting out there, and again, like I take my medicine, Fashanu from Penn State's a really good prospect. Joe Alt's a really good prospect. They can help the Cardinals exponentially next year. And you want to have a little bit of swag and cachet and momentum headed into the offseason. You want to lose 4 straight to end the year. So again, I've seen this many, many times, and people can disagree, and that's fine. The only time it makes sense to quote unquote tank at the end of the year is if you need a quarterback, or your quarterback's out like last year with Kyler Murray and you needed a high pick. Kyler Murray and this franchise want to win games. And if they win games, we're just going to let the chips fall where they may, because they believe Bo Brock, and we have evidence now that he's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, we do. And we'll get into that soon, I promise. But, the value of winning games, and even though Jonathan Gannon doesn't believe in momentum, but what it does is it continues to solidify the processes that they've put in place, and how the process is now generating the results that they want as an organization, as a franchise, and just kind of really drives that home and continues to solidify this culture shift, right? That this buy-in to get Austin Fort and Gannon is worth it. And if they can just get enough talent on this roster and move forward, continue to move forward, that it's going to pay off. So I think that would do more good than like, okay, we get the best wide receiver instead of the best tackle, because they're still going to be in a prime position to get a premium, like the top player prospect at a given position, no matter what they do.
I'm going to tell you right now, if this franchise cannot overcome not getting Marvin Harrison Jr., they have the wrong people.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if we're using Marvin Harrison Jr. as an excuse next year as to why they're not winning games, we got bigger problems. As Easton puts in the chat, $4.99. Thank you so much, my guy. Super chat. I wouldn't mind taking a tackle high again this year. I'm going to tell you right now, the Cardinals wouldn't mind either if we end up with pick 4, 5, or 6. And I think at the end of the day, if they win a game or two, that's likely the scenario, because Jaden Daniels is a freight train from hell right now in terms of his draft stock, and I think he's only going to help himself in the offseason. There are going to be teams that draft and maybe overdraft a quarterback, and then the Cardinals are going to pick the carcass of the rest of the top 10, and they're going to get a premium position. Like wide receiver.
It's not picking the carcass. I mean, there's a lot of fat left on that.
It's like Thanksgiving. My poor example, but these two tackles, I mean, like, is Fashanu not my favorite? No. And I'll probably fall in love with him when we chat with him at the combine. He's a big teddy bear. Joe Alt, to me, is my preference. I don't know which way the Cardinals are leaning, but they would have no issues at all winning games and taking one of the two tackles at all.
Let's take a look at a couple more of these super chats that we have right now. As Johnny said, we are killing it. Is it Randa? Randa?
MZ.
Randoms. MZ. How much would it change the draft if Marvin Harrison Jr., because there's speculation, rumors out there, if he decides not to go to the draft? Look, I mean, there's the rumors are, the speculation is that Ohio State has enough boosters in their NIL fund to match what an NFL rookie would make for Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe they're running back Trayvon Henderson. And I just don't know if that is going to motivate Marvin. Like, they're saying he wants to come back and beat Michigan because he hasn't done that.
Okay, bro.
Like, I don't buy it. Like,
No.
I think Marvin Harrison utilized, and I say this in the nicest way, in all due respect to the fans of Ohio State and, Columbus and all of that, Buckeye Nation, whatever. His motivation is to star at the NFL level like his father did. I don't think, he might want to beat Michigan, but it's not enough to not go to the NFL this offseason.
Makes me feel good about his football character and the idea of trying to win as a team and being a big team guy. I love hearing that, but I agree. Let's entertain it for a second though, for the sake of Rondo's question. I think you could see a scenario instead of 2 quarterbacks going 1-2 and Marvin going 3, maybe 3 quarterbacks, you go 3 for 3. If it's the Bears, if it's the Patriots, and if it's Washington, why can't Jaden Daniels be a Washington Commander? And then the Cardinals again get their pick of tackle, but Cardinals are picking 4. They go BPA on tackle. Maybe they take an edge rusher if one skyrockets off the board and they fall in love with the kid from Bama or somebody else. But I don't think it changes a lot unless they win. Let's say they win 2 or 3 of these games and they're pushed all the way to the bottom of the top 10. That's where it would make things a little bit more difficult. But again, the value's there. This draft is deeper than 5 or 6 guys, and a lot of people think 4 quarterbacks could sneak into the top 10. Cardinals are going to be the benefactor of that. We're the benefactor of Randall's $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, my guy. Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch will be a solid wide receiver trio on the field in 2024. Absolutely. You know what else I would like about that? It would be very cost effective. Greg Dortch would be making the most amount of money, rightfully so, of those 3 individuals, because Marvin and Michael are on their rookie deal. You'd sign Greg Dortch to a fair market price. You could allocate money elsewhere. Go sign the best available left guard. Go sign a defensive tackle. Go sign a number 1 corner, Jalen Johnson out of Chicago. Like, people want to bitch and complain about Kyler Murray's contract. There's a great way to be able to mitigate some of that cost up front.
Yeah, and I think that you could still add, and I think you have to add a wide receiver via free agency. And I'm not talking like the top group. I mean, still somebody that's affordable and somebody that can play a role. And, as much as I like Greg Dortch, I think that you can get somebody, Dortch could either take Rondell Moore's spot as starting slot, and Rondell could be his backup, or you can get a guy like, a Boyd or Gabe Davis, and that's a pretty good looking wide receiver core. When really it's a skeleton crew once the final whistle on this season blows at the end of the 2023 campaign.
Well, Trevor Sickerman told us last week when I egregiously tried to take 2 receivers in the first round. He said even if you get Marvin, you could double dip in the 3rd round and get real value.
Yeah.
And they have 3 threes. And if there's a player that they deem worthy, then they won't hesitate. Oh, for sure. $4.99 super chat. Friend of the program. I think we win with or without Marvin Harrison Jr. and Monty. We trust. I sure hope so. I think, again, we talked about it on yesterday's show. Pittsburgh game's the blueprint. Like, run the football, accurate quarterback play. Kyler makes a couple special plays. Overachieving defense with Jonathan Gannon, at least early on. Like, the recipe's there. They should win. The over-under for this team, we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. I think is going to be in the vicinity of about 7 or 8 next year. I think the Cardinals win 9 to 10 games next year, assuming they do everything right this offseason.
If you lose out on Marvin Harrison Jr. at the top of the draft, it's the consolation prizes are not, they don't suck, right?
No.
It's going to be more than just like a pack of Tic Tacs and some gum. It's going to be, you can get a playmaker if you wanted to, with your pick, or you could trade down, or you could utilize that Texans pick, which we'll take a look at here shortly. But like Malik Neighbors, Roman Dunzier, Keon Coleman, and then later, as Trev pointed out, Jalen Polk out of Washington, Troy Franklin out of Oregon, former Sun Devil wide receiver who played at Florida State. Was it Johnny Wilson, 6'7", big body wide receiver? I mean, there's some it's a really, really deep class.
Didi, there's a high probability that Monty will trade out of the 3rd pick. I'm going to say the only likelihood of that happening is if Marvin Harrison Jr. goes 1st overall to Chicago Bears. And listen, our friends at CHGO, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. They think the Bears are going to win out, make the playoffs. Marvin goes 1st overall. Cleveland lost a couple tackles this week. I mean, could the Bears upset the Browns? We'll see in Cleveland. Yeah. So much to decipher at the end of the year. It's great.
The orange Kool-Aid, it's too sugary, my friends. Let's just put it down. Let's not guzzle it by the gallon full, friends. Come on. I mean, I know that you've got the Browns this week, as you mentioned, like that could be a nightmare matchup for them. Like what Joe Flacco has shown he's capable of, which is shocking. And then also like that defense and how it matches up against I mean, what good defense have the Bears actually performed against this season? They've been
shut down by the Vikings defense.
Yeah, they're picking on some bad defenses this season. So I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid at all. I mean, I don't think the Bears are gonna. And you know what's crazy, and we'll talk about this later. The Cardinals are still not mathematically eliminated from the postseason. There's still several paths to the playoffs for the Cardinals. Should we be like CHGO and just say, hey, until they're mathematically eliminated, let's talk about them being in the playoffs?
I will say, if the Bears beat the Cleveland Browns this week, then the New Year's Soldier Field, that's the biggest game in like 5 years at Soldier Field. It's going to be a hot ticket.
That would be very Chicago Bears, like to win against the Browns. Like if you think like we're a bit of a poverty franchise and we don't get nice things that often, like neither do the Bears. And historically might be worse. Like they would get all this momentum and then Christmas Eve take a giant dump on their fan base's faces with a loss on Christmas Eve.
That's graphic. It'd be a hot ticket. Is it a hot ticket this weekend? Arizona Cardinals host San Francisco. Let's make sure that Cardinal fans are well represented, folks, at State Farm Stadium. Do it with our friends at Game Time. $20 off your first purchase with, you guessed it, bonus code PHNX. Again, I've used Game Time since I moved to the Valley. It's my favorite ticketing app. It's frankly the only ticketing app that the Venerable household uses, not just on sporting events, folks. I'm talking about concerts, specialty venues. Like, hell, they got stuff for my kids. They've got Disney on Ice. They've got a bunch of cool stuff. Check it out. Save you money at the end of the day. Great time to be loading up on tickets with the holiday season right around the corner. Christmas in 2 weeks. Download the Game Time app. Use that code PHNX. It's $20 off your first purchase. Hell, that might cover the cost of majority of your tickets. So terms and conditions apply. Create an account and redeem. Again, PHNX, $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, Bo, guaranteed.
Yeah, and talk about saving some money. How about just trying to find Phoenix Suns games? It used to at least cost you paying for cable each and every month, but now maybe you just go get yourself some antenna and throw it on the back of your TV, and you're set up to watch Suns games on Arizona Family Sports. What they have going on at AZ Family, they make it easy for you to find the Suns broadcast, and you got games as early as tomorrow night taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Also, you got the Knicks game coming up, Wizards. I mean, the Suns are hitting full swing. Their season after this in-season tournament is now starting to heat up, and hopefully the Suns do as well. You can watch the games on Arizona's Family 3 TV and Arizona Family Sports Channel 44. If you're outside the Phoenix area, well, go to azfamily.com and you can click on the Suns games option, and they'll give you the listing information. You're out there in Yuma, you're in Flagstaff, you're in Tucson, or far east is Albuquerque in New Mexico. You can check out Suns games thanks to our friends over at Arizona Family Sports and AZ Family Sports.
Friends helping friends. Drew Petzing, Kyler Murray, they seem like they're close friends today, Bo. Early on the Twitter streets this morning, Adam Schefter posted a tasty little nugget from his own podcast, the Adam Schefter podcast, where, you guessed it, he chatted with the Cardinals offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, about a number of topics, including one Kyler Murray, Bo.
Yeah, let's hear from Adam Schefter and Drew Petzing.
And then, Drew, I know it's not your decision, but Arizona has 2 first-round draft picks. A lot of people wondered whether they could eventually pursue a quarterback. But it sounds like in your mind, you know who you'd like your quarterback to be. Am I reading that incorrectly?
No, absolutely. I think, and the goal is always going to be to make the roster better in every way, shape, and form. I think Monty, the scouting staff, the entire department is committed to that goal, but feel really good about where Kyler's at as a franchise quarterback. I mean, he's absolutely that, as you just said. And I think he's done a great job of embracing that role and owning that role and moved into that role as he hit the field here, whatever it was, about a month ago. So I've been really pleased with that.
Offensive coordinator Drew Petzing kind of giving his blessing to Kyler Murray as the future franchise quarterback, current franchise quarterback and past franchise quarterback, signed a franchise quarterback deal last offseason before the start of the 2022 campaign, $230.5 million. And it was the biggest question entering this season, Johnny, was, will they keep Kyler Murray? Will they make the case for them to keep Kyler Murray? And, what it looks like with Kyler Murray beyond 2023. And Drew Petzing, speaking on behalf of the organization, I think, he felt confident enough to do so. Gives me confidence that Kyler's the guy moving forward, even more so.
Well, I mean, this show's been telling you that for a couple of weeks that, like, barring something unforeseen, like they were going to roll with K1, but he had to come back and he had to win a couple games, and he had to show that he was still very much the quarterback that netted a $250 million extension 2 years ago, and he's done that. And again, he put in the time and the effort with the franchise, with the coaching staff, certainly coming back from his torn ACL. And then over this last month, you have seen glimpses of the old Kyler Murray. And you project that out with a full offseason, strength and conditioning, Drew Petzing, Jonathan Gannon, lockstep, and preparing for 2024. Like, that's a playoff quarterback. Like, we can romanticize these draft prospects all we want. We sure as hell do on this show. But, Drake May, Caleb Williams, there's a chance that neither of them have the NFL career of Kyler Murray. Two-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Rookie of the Year. And a lot of people think his best football ahead of him. So I think the way his teammates have responded to him and vice versa, the coaching staff 100% bought in. I mean, I'm texting with somebody close to the team. It's like, guys, they went to the statue unveiling at Oklahoma. They embraced this guy, and he wanted to be embraced. He wanted a community and a culture like this. Like, respectfully, Cliff Kingsbury could not develop a culture. And then when you've got a toxic general manager overseeing and undercutting your quarterback left and right with some work from the owner, from the franchise owner, Michael Bidwell, like, they needed to clean up a lot. And it's like Kyler Murray respects the hell out of the coaching staff. That can't be echoed enough. Drew Petzing, Nick Rollis, and Jonathan Gannon come from big boy franchises that had success. Kyler Murray, it's like game recognizes game. He's got immense respect for Lincoln Riley, and he knows that the Cardinals, if they're going to compete in the NFC West, they need a coaching staff that can elevate. And these guys have shown you that they can do that.
Cardinal Charles 71, if Bo says franchise quarterback one more time, it's the franchise quarterback drinking game. I don't know if you know that, Charles. You are a little too young for that. But if you are participating, next time I say franchise quarterback, take a shot. That's how it works here at PHNX Cardinals. I mean, Jonathan Gannon had more than the sneaking suspicion that Kyler Murray had it in him, right? That he was his guy and he was going to be his guy moving forward. He just needed to see it play out on the grass. That's a big thing for JG. He became kind of he became a big Kyler Murray fan as soon as he put ink to paper on his contract. We saw the video from the Cardinals social media team where they greeted each other for the first time, and paraphrasing, but saying like he's a big reason of why he took the job, and we're gonna win, and we're gonna win because of you. And now he got Kyler Murray back, and he after rocking it in his rehab and rocking it in his in the classroom and preparing to take the field, and now he's done it for the most part on the fly, learning a new offense in a completely new style, and done it pretty well while really acclimating himself to it. So Kyler Murray had the edge, and I think now he's really just kind of solidifying himself in the final 4 games of the season.
Let's do a quick story time here. When Kyler Murray was ramping up to come back and he had been activated off a PUP and they were integrating him into practice, like, I'm told the coaching staff, and specifically Jonathan Gannon, Bo, and you and I have had this conversation off air, were blown away by how talented he was.
Yeah.
Like, you heard the stories, you could see it on game film, and they've coordinated against him. But like, having not Kyler Murray run your practices offensively to, we just substituted and inserted a top 10 quarterback that can do things that very few people can do, a top 10 draft pick in 2 professional sports, first time that's ever happened. Like, they were blown away. So all they had to see was it play out on the field. And I mean, he went into Heinz Field and beat Mike Tomlin head to head, and he took down the Atlanta Falcons. And, I think if they played Houston this weekend, they'd beat the Houston Texans. So to me, it's just, at the end of the day, they just needed to have that reaffirmed of who he was and what he's capable of doing. And right now, I think they're going to win at least one more game. They're not going to be in a position to take a Caleb Williams or even a Drake May at this point. And you're going to argue that Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray in 2024 and beyond. Like, that's laughable. What are we doing here? Kyler Murray was racking up wins against Kyle Shanahan and Pete fucking Carroll, while Jaden Daniels couldn't complete, 50% of his throws at ASU, respectfully. Like, Jaden's a nice prospect, got a long way to go. It's like the quickest way for this franchise and this coaching staff in particular, and I'll include, Monty, Austin Ford, and the scouts, to win games, to get extensions, to have security with their family here in the Valley and not be fired by Michael Bidwell, is let's go out and win games and compete in 2024. And that's with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels turns 23 next week. It's going to be a 23-year-old rookie quarterback. Kyler Murray's 26. I mean, is there Jaden Daniels has played, 5 years at the collegiate level? And Kyler, I mean, it took him 1 year to dominate that level and then move on. And it is very laughable. And the Arizona Cardinals moving forward now, they can focus on how they rebuild this roster. And one of the big things, and they did set themselves up, I believe this, I still believe it, that to pivot any direction. But now they know, I think, what direction they're going at the quarterback position. And you can surround Kyler Murray. I mean, dominated, playing kind of scout team role. He was going up against the first team defense in his first couple weeks back and was, just putting on a show. Guys like Tristan Colon, who spent time with the Baltimore Ravens organization, was asking other offensive linemen, like, hey, this is how this goes. Like, this is how good this always looks with Kyler Murray in the shotgun and under center. And they're like, yeah, this is pretty much business as usual. And he played with Lamar Jackson, for God's sakes. And he's blown away with Kyler Murray and his arm talent and his playmaking ability.
Gannon's seen Jalen Hurts in practice. So for him to kind of lead you to think that Kyler Murray is a different animal in practice, he's just a special athlete, a special football player. That's what it is. And you don't give up on those kind of players, especially as some folks have pointed out in the chat. Like, this isn't the foulest to say, like, he's grown up too. He's a different 26-year-old than he was a 24, 23-year-old. And the Cardinals and this coaching staff, they play a part in it. They're going to benefit from that. Let's talk some draft. Before we do, a different kind of draft, a little bit of a rolling of the dice. How about the Arizona lottery? But instead of making a top 3 pick, how about just $1? You can win up prizes up to $500,000. Scratchers this holiday season, the perfect stocking stuffers. And again, it's for anybody, naughty or nice. I'm feeling a little naughty. I might splurge on a couple Arizona lottery tickets to load up. I got, some events to go to, White Elephant, gift exchange. They're like my favorite thing. Plug and play. Everybody loves a scratcher. Go out, buy your holiday scratchers today. Find a retailer like our friends at Circle K, by the way. Love our peeps at Circle K. And you can dabble on the Arizona Lottery. Check them out, ArizonaLottery.com. Now, you do, Bo, have to be 21 or older to play.
I'm scratching off my holiday cash scratcher. I can win up to $500. It looks like we got a winner here for...
I love a good scratch off.
About $2. Not too bad. Winner,
money.
chicken dinner. And
profit.
Little profit, yeah. I mean, this thing probably cost $1, made $1. Not too bad on making some money on a Tuesday at 5:13. So Arizona Lottery, great stocking stuffer, and of course you can give to any of your friends and family during the holidays. Also, what you could do and stuff some stockings with is our friends over at OG's Brands of Arizona's Cannabis Kitchen. What they're doing, what they're cooking up, it's something you can unwrap. It's merry, it's bright, it's downright delicious gift of OG's gummies this holiday season. Whether you're gifting to a friend or treating yourself, OG's is the ultimate holiday hack for peace and mouth-watering cheer. That's beautiful, actually. As we want to kind of get into OG's, if you want to dabble, check out their full product line, ogsbrands.com. Figure out if you're like the fruits or the creams, or if you just like the mixed bags that they have that are available. It's a slam dunk for your taste buds. Those bold flavors. OG's Brands. Follow them on socials at OG's Brands. Go to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 years or older.
Let's talk a little draft. Tommy DeVito and company delivering that sweet, sweet Christmas gift come early last night. The reason why both victories were big, and we didn't think either of those teams were winning last night when we did the show. Both kicked off 5:30 Mountain Time yesterday. The New York Giants now and the Tennessee Titans have put themselves in a position where, like, probably not realistic for those teams to get a Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's look at the updated draft standings. So we don't have the win-losses on this, but what we can tell you is everybody not named the Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots, and Bears have 5 wins or more, which means that if the Cardinals beat San Francisco this weekend, they cannot fall further than pick 4, which is a good place to be, because the Giants and the Titans, they fell subsequently 3 spots apiece, falling from like 5 to 6 now all the way to 8 to 9. And again, that takes into account strength of schedule. But the Cardinals, they're the only 3-win team, and the Commanders, they're the only 4-win team, Bo.
Yeah. It's we talked about how advantageous of a position that Monty Ossenfort and the Cardinals are with their draft positioning. And yeah, I mean, you had to eat a lot of crap to get here, right? Because
it was
3-10 season, it's tough to endure. I don't care if you're ready for it and you understand, how brutal a rebuild could be, but dropping games like they did to Houston and the one to the Rams that wasn't even close. And it was nice to have competitive games, but you still fall short, and you can see where the team didn't capitalize or couldn't take advantage of some opportunities. It sucks, but now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And the Arizona Cardinals, just with the Panthers pick being the top of the draft for the Bears, and then the Patriots, I probably got their last win of the season against the Steelers last Thursday. The Cardinals are in a prime position to potentially win a game and stay in a top spot to get a big time player in Marvin Harrison Jr. and not too far for, like, if you play yourself even out of MHJ, like the 2 tackles right there, not bad consolation prizes.
The number 4 picking team here in the Commanders play the number 7 picking team here in the Jets in the final month of the season. That's going to be a big game for this franchise for a couple different reasons.
I think the Jets easily win that.
Well, somebody's moving down. Sam Howell, they can move the football a little bit. And again, like, how does the quarterback situation?
Not against the Jets defense.
Okay, bro. All right, Sam Howell's got a sneaky good year. I'm trying to talk up the Commanders so they win an effing game. Come on now.
I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they already fight. Like, the one weakness of the Jets is their offense. And, Washington blew out Jack Del Rio. He was making an impact as a DC. And whoever they got as interim, he's not doing very well. I mean, it seems like they consistently give up 30. Zach Wilson, all he just doesn't have to do is turn over the football. And it seems like they can win.
It's not a sensible Bo Smackdown, Chase. That's not what's happening at all. I don't like that at all. I do like this. I think we've got do we have an updated big board as it relates to, let's check the top 3 pick odds through week 14. So this is interesting. This is from Seth Walder on Twitter. Earn a chance for a top 3 pick in the 2024 NFL draft. This is according to analytics from ESPN. I'm more into Manalytics, am I right? Let's see some Manalytics here. Bears via Panthers, 99%. Chicago. I mean, the Panthers are one of the worst teams in, I would say, the last 20 years. Like, I'm ready to lump them in with just a step above the winless Lions and Browns. I think they're an unwatchable product. I had Chuba Hubbard in fantasy football. It was a disaster. Miles Sanders and company. Then you've got the Patriots, Cardinals, Giants. This is before last night. Commanders, Titans, Raiders, Bears, Jets. So Seth and company still very much believing that the Cardinals are going to have a top 3 pick. And hell, like, could the Patriots win a game or 2 they're not supposed to? I think I misspoke earlier. I think the Patriots have 3 wins. I think the Patriots and the Cardinals have the same record. So
right.
It will take a Herculean effort for the Arizona Cardinals to beat either the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers. Is it fair to expect those to not be dubs for the Cardinals? That's fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're looking at the Chicago Bears in 2 weeks on Christmas Eve, and then the finale in week 18 against Seattle. Now, Seattle could very well be playing for a playoff spot, or they could be sitting players at the end of the year. That's going to be a very interesting situation. If the Cardinals beat the Bears, they lose the 2 games they're projected to lose. People, and they're still in striking distance for Marvin Harrison Jr., people are going to be upset if they win that finale against Seattle. Now, I would like to see Gannon win a division game. I hate Pete Carroll. I'm trying to force him into retirement. Like, I want to see them kick Seattle's ass. But emotions will be running high in the valley that day, no doubt.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, of all weeks of the season, I get it. I felt pain for that Houston Texans franchise and its fan base last year when Lovie Smith went out and got a meaningless win in the season finale to drop them in the draft. And I'm all for going ham against the Niners this week and trying to win a game on Christmas Eve against the Bears. And even though our friends over at CHGO have already checked that box, they Sharpie in the W next to the Bears name on the schedule. And then in Philly, sign me up. That's the one game that I would love to see Jonathan Gannon, if his team were to play above and beyond its capabilities on the road at Philly. And Philly's struggling. Who knows if they can buck these negative trends between now and then? I would assume so. But They don't have their top coordinators still in place, and I don't know how they're going to fix it on the fly. It's going to take a Herculean effort from Jalen Hurts and the players on the defensive side of the football. So it really would shock me, but pleasantly surprise me. But if they drop, as expected, a game to San Francisco this week and Philly in week 17, and they're sitting in a prime position in the finale, I can't say honestly that I'm not saying, hey, just lose the game.
It would be the most disheartening 4 quarters of football, or gut-wrenching, I should say, that we've had in some time. Like a game that means very little in the landscape of this season, but could mean a lot for the projection of this franchise. I don't want to win the game if Seattle's not playing to win, because then you definitely feel like this is just kind of a farce.
Right.
I think you have Clayton Tune on standby in that game, and you tell Kyler Murray, the offseason is yours, the team is yours. We're going to make you inactive. We're going to bring up Jeff Driscoll, and we're going to go get a specimen out of Columbus. Like, that's going to be one of the most interesting weeks. We'll have everybody tapped in, all of our sources, to see what they would do in that scenario. We're not there yet. And who knows, if the Commanders win another game, that's irrelevant. Cardinals can go and they can win 2 games, and I think be okay, maybe not. It's going to be a little dicey. I'd love to see it. I also saw a graphic the other day. The difference between like a top 8 pick, or the 8th pick in the draft, and like the playoffs is like a game and a half, the difference. So like things can get muddled up real quick. I wish we had the tankathon. Do we have that screenshot that you put in there? The tankathon screenshot of where the Cardinals are picking?
What do you want to know about it?
Well, tell me strength of schedule wise, the teams that are above Arizona. Let's look at the top 10 again, Damon. Who's got a better strength of schedule in the top 10, a tougher strength of schedule than the Arizona Cardinals do, between the Chargers and the Commanders?
Who's got? I mean, nobody has a tougher strength of schedule than the Arizona.
So theoretically, Cardinals win 2 games, and
the Arizona Cardinals have the toughest strength of schedule, and I'm looking at it all the way down to their other pick at 16 with the Texans.
Oh my God.
Nobody has a tougher strength of schedule than the Arizona Cardinals. So they're
there
not going to
could be a scenario in which if they win both of those games and they go 2-2 down the stretch and they play 500 football with Kyler Murray, they could go from 3 to like 9, 11, 10, something like that.
11, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, they can't get down. Atlanta's at 6 and 7. So
some of those teams are going to play each other. Some of these teams are going to go head to head.
Chargers aren't winning another game probably this season with Easton Stick at quarterback.
No, that team's ready.
You're already seeing,
Titans are beating Houston, by the way. That's happening.
At least one of the 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your boy called that on Sunday. I said that last week, and now I feel really good about it with Testosterone Boy going nuts. With D-Hop. Like they're taking care of D'Amico and company one time. Then you've got the Jets and the Commanders that play each other. I mean, it's just going to be this is why we do this, because we get Kyler Murray. We get to watch Kyler Murray for a month of football. It's great. And we also get to teeter and be sick to our stomach, potentially losing out on a Hall of Fame level prospect. I love it. Inject it.
I just think realistically, it's the Bears game is the winnable game left, the lone winnable game. Where it's not necessarily a coin flip. You're going on the road, probably arguably a more talented roster, no doubt about it. As far as what the Bears have, the Arizona Cardinals, but still a winnable game for them. But like Philly and San Francisco probably shouldn't be.
Well, here
can I ask you something? Like I said, that Seattle game, like.
Well, that's where I'm going.
Right. The Toon Squad, that game. Like maybe let Kyler go in there, throw a couple passes, and then call it a day.
Seattle plays 4 games left. I think they're 500 right now. They're like 6 and 6, maybe
6 and 7.
6 and 7. So
they're 13th right now. I mean, they can move up close to the top 10.
They're starting Drew Lock. Geno Smith's elbow is kaput. So Seattle hosting the Eagles this week. Who's winning that game?
Seattle's hosting. I'm sorry, who?
The Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, and the Eagles. It should be a get-right game for Philly.
Then Seattle goes to Tennessee. Who's winning that game?
Seattle goes to the Titans.
Mhm.
Oh man. It's in Nashville.
Yeah.
If Geno's back, they can win. If he's not, and it's Drew Lock.
Vrabel getting hot. Coin flip though, right? Not a walk.
Yeah.
Then Seattle hosts Mike Tomlin's fraudulent Steelers in week 17.
It's just like Spider-Man meme, like fraud squads.
And then they go to Arizona. I mean, like, are they sitting players week 18, or are they trying to win with Drew Lock and Dirt McGirt? I mean, that it's going to be hard for Cardinal fans if the Cardinals beat Chicago.
Does Pete Carroll have it in him to do that though?
I mean, he came to Arizona 2 years ago and cost the Cardinals the division just by spite.
He had a fresh pack of gum, was ready to chomp it arrogantly throughout the game on the sidelines.
I see. Here's where it could get dicey for folks. Is Jonathan Gannon,
and they knew very well that they were right on the precipice of a rebuild. I mean, that offseason, they started cleaning house.
Jonathan Gannon doesn't want to go 0-for-6 in the division. Like, don't underestimate that. Now, you're gifted a farce if they're sitting players, but that being Seattle, man,
here's how I view it. Jonathan Gannon can learn about the bottom half of his roster, bottom half that he hasn't had the opportunity to really evaluate. Why not get some looks at, Clayton Tune? It should be kind of a rehearsal, like just an evaluation of him. Like, the Cardinals could go find a backup quarterback this offseason. Is anybody sold that Clayton Tune could handle? Like, if Kyler Murray did get hurt, and historically he does get nicked up throughout a season, he's had a hamstring.
Give me a percentage that they would do that. So that they're beating the Bears, they lose the other two games.
Yeah,
they lose. Should they win that game, they lose Marvin Harrison Jr. We're going to assume the Commanders beat the Jets. Give me a percentage that they sit Kyler Murray in week 18.
In a collaborative effort between the front office, and Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, and understanding the long-term value of maybe improving their draft stock and evaluating Clayton Tune and some other players. I just think that you could see a game where Kyler Murray comes out, gets some reps, and then they hand it over to the Tune. You want like a percentage? Like, can I put a percentage on that?
Yeah, give me a percentage.
I'd say it's over half, like 60%.
Damn.
Don't you think?
I want that. It's that mean. I see that. I want that for myself. But they're so competitive. Gannon and company, they want every win they can get, but they also want to evaluate. So we're going to evaluate with. We're going to do a 3-round mock draft here in a second. But first, I'm going to tell everybody. We're money right now here at the end of the season talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. Speaking of money, check us out. Desert Financial, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, of the Venerable household. For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community. Look for Desert Financial for credit cards, checking, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, investment options, and more. Show your team spirit with a free checking account right now. I did it online. It takes like 5 minutes. Then you can get your own official Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card in the mail, in person. Check them out, desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started. Big reason why I love Desert Financial, folks. They're everywhere here in the Valley. Convenience is key here in 2023. Make Desert Financial the key to your spending spree in 2023.
228 people here watching the show live. Why don't you do us a favor, hit that like button, and we'll give you some helpful hints for your holiday shopping. How about our friends over at Shady Rays, shadyrays.com. Premium sunglasses, not at a premium price. Independent sunglasses company. It's world-class product. It's unbelievable what they can do for not really breaking your bank. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection plan on all their eyewear. If you lose or break your sunglasses, they'll replace them almost no questions asked long after your purchase or shortly after your purchase. Shady Rays, they're also doing great things within their communities, building play sets for pediatric cancer patients and providing young adults with MS outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays making an impact on your community near you. Learn more about Shady Rays. Go to their website, shadyrays.com. Use the promo code PHNX so you can save 50% on 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades from Shady Rays. Go see what 250,000 people are rating 5 stars online at shadyrays.com.
Could the Cowboys sit their starters week 18 against the Commanders if they don't have a bye? If they haven't locked up the
Didn't
division?
they do it last year?
I think that's something to watch.
Yeah.
Commanders, can you win another game, please? We're going to do a 2-round mock draft here. I'm going to present and share my screen. We're going to use our friends, Trevor Sickama's Big Board, and our friends at Pro Football Focus, like we do with all of our mock drafts. And Chicago Bears, Bo, they're on the clock. We're going to start this draft. Caleb Williams, Drake May, very predictable, 1 and 2. It's a chalk draft, Bo, so far.
Yeah. It's like you're at the helm and you're just going chalk. And I think we probably keep it chalk when we take Marvin Harrison Jr.
I like it. Before we get to our next pick, I want to look at some of these other options. So Marvin goes 3. Brock Bowers, typical Washington move, goes 4. My God, that poor franchise. Latu, one of our favorites in the draft from UCLA, he goes to the Bears. Nice little haul for the Bears. Pac-12 exclusives. Joe Alt, my favorite. Look at that going over Fashanu. He goes 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Jets take the other tackle. Newton goes to the Giants, and DeVito, Roma Dunze, who quickly becoming, I think, a top 10 pick in his own right, goes 9. Malik Napers. So we've got
Titans, right?
Yeah, goes 9 to the Titans. Malik Napers to the Chargers. Chargers can't help themselves. Keep taking first-round receivers after Megabus Quentin Johnson last year. 3 receivers go top 10, 2 tackles. How about this, Atlanta? Bo Nix. That's a choice. That's quite a choice. I'm going to tell you what I'd love right now. Jaden Daniels to the Broncos. Kindly inject that. Kindly inject the chaos with Russell Wilson. The amount of capital that they spent to trade for Russell Wilson, and then they go Jaden Daniels, Bo.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. As you mentioned, certainly a choice from Broncos country. Let's ride. Because you gift the Arizona Cardinals the best, a crop of the best remaining non-quarterback prospects in the 2024 draft. And you can look at a couple premium positions right away. Jared Verse out of Florida State. Big reason of why they went 13-0. Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback position, obviously a huge area of need for the Arizona Cardinals. Man, I mean, this one's tough, but I'm leaning toward Verse personally. I think that
I am as well.
I think Verse is a more well-rounded prospect, and a little bit more of a sure thing coming off the edge. And you rush and cover and rush. I think it helps things out when you got a player of the caliber of Jared Verse out of Florida State. And you can address cornerback later in the draft.
Yeah, this is not a tweener pick. This isn't a reclamation project. This is not somebody converting positions. This is somebody that's been steadily getting better, albeit in the ACC, for a big boy program that plays big time schools in Florida State. Look at their non-conference schedule. They're playing LSU. They're playing Florida. They had an undefeated season. He was a big part of that. So I'm with you. I'm always going to go front 7 over corner, in part because I think the Cardinals are going to spend on a number 1 corner in free agency. So the only position I think that's a little bit watered down now is tackle. So I'm hoping that we take Verse here at 16. Maybe there's a best available offensive lineman for us. Doesn't look like it here at pick 35, Bo.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were, like you said, you're maybe holding out for a tackle, but then as we get gifted, I think, and this is the big reason why you kind of hold off, is you get a Kalen King in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Who is like, I don't see a whole lot of separation from the cornerback class. Like, nobody is the consensus top guy right now. And some people would say Kool-Aid, but Kalen's in the discussion. I kind of like Kalen King in this position way better than I like Kool-Aid McKinstry at 16 overall. I think King is the play here, and you go premium position, you go edge and then corner back to back.
For the sake of it, let's just see what the trade is. So Kansas City is interested. 35 to 57 would be a huge, huge leap for the Arizona Cardinals to take. in this scenario, just for shits and gigs, be 57, 35, 89, and probably a second next year. And they're not willing to do that. I'm not willing to make that trade. I'm going Kalen King as well, Bo Brock, as we put a bow on our little cutie 2-round mock draft here on a football Tuesday. Let's check out our grade. I think it's going to be pretty high, Bo.
Yeah, it's a little sweet boy. What we were able to accomplish here. A+, A with Kalen King. I wonder what would have gotten us an A+ there. What's the chat saying? Are they with us on this draft? Was it versus the way Rafa 30 said? Connor Stallions spying on us, saying hoping for Newton, and I think Newton went way before, right? He was a top 10 pick.
I think we're seeing a preview with Jerzon Newton going 8th overall. I don't see a scenario in which he doesn't go top 10 unless he bombs the offseason, which I don't expect. I think Devin Witherspoon helped his case. That's a big boy program in Champaign, Illinois now, and he is easily the quintessential top defensive tackle in this draft. He can rush the passer. He can get you bulk sacks at the NFL level. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, Cardinals somehow do win 2 more games, Bo, and they're picking at the bottom half of the top 10. He quickly becomes a player that we all need to key in on.
Dude saying it's a fail draft. Emphatic, all caps, fail draft. We got Derek Fife saying it's an A+. Randolph saying A+ draft all the way. Appreciate that. Trey saying any peep, they cop my draft. Did you take this, Trey? We apologize. I don't know if we ever saw this. Chase agrees it's a great draft as well.
I'm going to tell you right now, any draft where the Cardinals get Marvin Harrison Jr., whatever happens after that, we just let the chips fall where they may. Assuming that they don't have to trade picks to get Marvin, like any draft that starts with a potential Hall of Fame level prospect, and I'm putting that on Marvin Harrison Jr., we're playing with house money at that point. I don't care if it's Joe Blow at pick 16.
And Deuce giving a little bit more context to his fail. He's saying they need O-line. And absolutely, and D-line, no doubt about it. And they've got 3 more picks coming around in the 3rd round that they can certainly address some beef, get some beef on the squad, and really start to address the trenches. But just the way that this draft and the way that the dominoes kind of fell, I think that you would be reaching for the next best tackle on the board at that point at 16, and going with arguably the top edge rusher at 16. You take it. It's a premium position.
Absolutely. I think the interesting conversation, interesting might be the wrong word, but should the Cardinals win a couple games here and maybe, God forbid, they even play themselves out of the tackle sweepstakes, like what then? What becomes of the Cardinals then? Is it Latu? Certainly not Brock Bowers. Do they consider Newton? Do they look at some of these tier 2 receivers? Like that's where things, you might want to start working the phones to see if somebody wants a Jaden Daniels or a Bo Nix. But to me, it's like, I know the mock doesn't reflect it, but the draft to me at the end of the day is the 2 blue chip quarterbacks, a generational receiver, and 2 blue chip offensive tackles. Like, I like Latu. I don't put him in the same category as Joe Alder-Fashanu. I just don't. And so I think those are the tiers right now. And while the Cardinals are still live at 3 and 10, they're going to be in a prime position for one of these elites.
Yeah, and Brian making a point. Jordan Morgan, the U of A, was he still on the board? Could he slip to the 3rd round?
Would you be all right with him at the top of the 2nd round?
Not over like a Kalen King.
You're not a Morgan guy. You're not Captain.
I honestly don't. I need to do more research on Morgan.
That's fine.
Our guy Damon, he wants him.
You guys need to do some research at gophnx.com. I'm not giving people homework, but I'm kind of doing that. Become a diehard today. Go to gophnx.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year. You're a diehard. Our guy Howard Balzer, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, cranking out the content on the reg. 90% is free. You want that sweet 10%? Become a diehard. Check us out in the member Discord. We're having fun. We're enjoying the off season, in season, en route to the off season. I think I made the playoffs in our fantasy football league, Bo. I'm excited about that. The diehard league. It means something to me. It should mean something to you. Again, become a part of our family. As Vin Diesel would say, we're family. We're diehards together. Next best thing of this PHNX Cardinals community is becoming a diehard, taking it up to 11 with your boys, Bo.
Yeah, tough to beat what's going on in the member Discord and getting that deal as a free hat, free T-shirt.
Yeah,
love
pays
it.
for itself.
Tomorrow, we're going to hear from the Cardinals franchise quarterback, Cardinal Charles. You still with us? You got Kyler Murray at the podium. I'm going to hear from Jonathan Gannon, the latest on Hollywood Brown. Somebody asked me on Twitter. You can ask me to ask some questions in the press conference. What's the latest on Carlos Watkins and LJ Collier on the defensive line? Two guys that went out with biceps injuries on the IR. Ask for an update tomorrow. We'll give it to you on a 4:30 edition of PHNX Cardinals. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and wherever you listen to your podcast, leave a rating, drop a review. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
We all silly like the mayor.